Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London, and you can find me as Skeindeer on Ravelry and Instagram. And don't forget the Ravelry group Skeindeer Knits, where just all things awesome are going on. There will be giveaways happening in this episode, so check out the group for that. And it's just general chatter, lots of people helping each other out, general loveliness and knit-alongs, so do join that group if you haven't already, if you would like to. So I think I'm going to start off by doing it the way I did last time, by having a timestamp down below and on the screen when you can skip to the general announcement, admin stuff and the knitty stuff, of course, if you don't care to listen to me talking about myself, which is something I usually do at the end of the episode, but because I'm in a bit of a lousy mood, I just feel like that needs to be mentioned up front. So first of all, I want to thank you guys so much for your support in the comment section and on private messages and on the Ravelry group. After my last episode, I don't really have the words. Obviously the problems that I have in my own life that are upsetting me isn't really anything that can be solved as such. It's just, it helps so much just to have good people in my life, even if it's just online. And I just, I want to thank you guys. Yeah, like I said, I don't really have the words. It meant so much to me to kind of, for many days, just wake up to there being more messages on the various social media platforms that I have. And yeah, now having said that, things aren't really going any better for me, but I am coping well. So at the end of the episode, I'm actually going to tell you guys what I am doing to deal with the kind of recent shittiness of things, so stay tuned for that. Just kind of wanted to let you know where things are at. I'm gonna keep recording even though I feel the way I do, and the things that have happened and are probably ongoing. I like, my pet peeve with my podcast is when I start going because it's like the worst thing to listen to. But I don't really have anything specific to say. I just kind of want to let you know where I'm at. I'm not in a great place, but I feel strangely like I can podcast, like I want to podcast, which, you know, wasn't the case last time I went through something like this. So I'm gonna keep doing it. So first of all, elephant in the room, I am sitting in my bed because I have had a fever for a week. I literally been within these four walls for a week, and today is probably the first day when I'm actually feeling fine. My head is cleared. My respiratory areas not so much, as you might be able to hear during this episode. So yeah, it was kind of the last thing I needed after having gone through what I've gone through, to be stuck in here for a week, just kind of in my own misery. But it's good things have happened too. I have been developing some designs, done a bit of knitting. So yeah, that's basically why I'm sitting in bed, because I'm not well yet, and I have been a bit today as well. So now it's a bit later in the day than it usually is when I podcast. So my usual recording space is just flooded with sunlight right now. So that wouldn't even be a good place to record. So I just thought, I'm just gonna sit here. Just gonna keep sitting here in my bed, which functions as a sofa the rest of the day because I live in a flat share. We don't have a living room. This is what it's like to live in London. So welcome to my lounge area. So yes, let's start with the administrative stuff. There are knit-alongs going on, as you probably know, but I have to cover them anyway. There is the Mary's knit-along, which I'm floored by the activity in that knit-along, you guys. So many people have finished jumpers already, and it's just insane in a good way. So that's really awesome. I wish I had fewer whips so I could join you guys. Hopefully I will sometime during this winter. But yeah, just letting you know, that's a knit along that's going on. It's for knitting the Marius sweater, and I know there's still some discussion about what makes a Marius sweater, and it literally is just the chart. It's not the construction method, it's not a type of garment. It has to be obviously a garment for being eligible to the KAL, but the Marius is simply a chart. So to be recognizable by simply looking like a Marius. I also wanted to thank you guys so much for the lovely reception that my pumpkin spice colorwork mittens have received, because wow, like just in a couple of days, I'm not gonna give away the numbers, but it has sold more than my Color Your World socks have done over several months, this one little pattern, and that's incredible. So thank you guys so much. It's obviously, of course, still available on Ravelry if you would like to have some pumpkin spice mittens for the season. I didn't clarify last time that you don't have to like pumpkin spice latte to make those mittens. One of the charts say PSL, I love PSL, but if you don't, you can just use the other chart for both mittens, and they just have a little cinnamon swirl symbol. It has a coffee bean and some pumpkins, so they can literally just be any autumnal drink. So yeah, just letting you know that. Another knit along that's going on is the one co-hosted by me and Kristen of the Yarndale podcast, which is the flea cardigan knit along, or loppa knit along if you want to be Norwegian about it, which I guess I am. So that is going to end on Halloween. I didn't say that in the last episode, I don't think. But yeah, 31st of October is the last day you can enter. And I've seen a lot of you guys finish them up already. And I have to be honest, they're really quick to make. You could probably start one now and finish in time. Honestly, like, you might be a bit more monogamous than I am in my knitting, but you can totally do that. So that's a knit along that's going on. And of course, last but not least, is the Sarbu Mitten Club, which every week just astounds me how that thing has just spread like freshly baked bread. It's everywhere. And again, it's one of those things that have made the past couple of weeks bearable, to be honest. Just having all that enthusiasm and praise and compliments happening here on Ravelry, on other podcasts, on Instagram, it's kind of just like, you know, I don't know what to call it. It's just really nice. Like yeah, there are no words essentially, and I am so happy I was kind of brave enough to do this. Like, I kept this a secret for a long time. I was working on this for a long time. I had a few people that confided this in, that's not the word, you know what I mean. I told them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, it should be interesting. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be cool, good, interesting. And it's like exploded. Sorry, that was my computer. I should have muted it. Anyway, so thank you so much. Very excited for the next pattern to come out at the beginning of next month, which isn't that far away from now. I'm gonna mute this thing. So yeah, just wanted to mention that it's just really cool. And also, I have put up a pattern page for the upcoming mitten, which is the mittens Nea, which I have named after the river that runs through Sarbu. It runs all the way from the mountains of Sweden. It runs through the little village where my cabin is. It's like a mountain village. It's really cool. And then it runs all the way through Florida and then through to Sarbu and out in the Sarbu Sjö, which is the lake in Sarbu. And yeah, so that's that mitten. That's all I'm going to say about that for now. You can check out more details on the pattern page, but the pattern itself is obviously not out yet. I just put a page up for you guys. You can queue it or put it in your projects if you like doing that early on. I guess another exciting news, so to speak, is that I have my Podiversary on the 23rd of September, which is the day I am going to Yarndale. Now, I was going to mention this at the end of the episode. I'm just going to say it now. I'm going to Yarndale on Saturday. That's exciting, and it's going to be my Podiversary, so hopefully I will get the camera and actually vlog a couple of things from that festival. It's a yarn festival up in Skipton in England, so I'm going there just for a day's journey, going up early in the morning if I can make it to the train. If you don't see me there, I didn't make it to the train. So yeah, happy Podiversary to me. I guess I would have looked more enthusiastic if, you know, the stuff in my life hadn't been going on, because it makes me kind of compare my life, what it's like now and what it was like this time last year, where a couple of things certainly were very different and my mood was very different. My, you know, level of optimism and being new at trying this podcast thing and the excitement of trying it out was different, but it's also been different in that now some things are actually better in terms of how many people I have found through this podcast, how many people have found me. Oh, I can hear how nasal I am now with the cold. So yeah, it's interesting to kind of compare where I've gone from a year from now. It's actually even made me consider my kind of career pursuits, because as you know, I'm going through a PhD and it will likely be done in a year's time, and I might go into a postdoc, but I might not. I might actually pursue knitting. I might do 50-50, but that's like one thing that's just kind of changed during this year, which is kind of a major thing, to be honest, and a lot of that is thanks to you guys. So happy Podiversary to Skeindeer. Another thing that I completely forgot to mention in the last episode is the winner of the Color Your World Socks KAL. I hadn't even drawn a winner at the time, I completely forgot. But I have drawn a winner this time. I went to random.org, put in the numbers of the range of entries that we had in the FO thread, and it picked a post, which was posted by nataliesheldon. And she's Natalie Sheldon of Remembrances Pottery, and it's just really cool that she won, not just because she makes amazing knitting themed mugs of ceramics, I think. It's the fact that she actually named this pattern. So I don't know if you remember, but I put up a call for naming my pattern on Instagram, and I said you get a free pattern if you do. And I had 2 people coming up with nearly the same name, and I know Natalie was the one who came up with the literal name that I ended up with, which is Color Your World. And which is funny actually, because she's Canadian, and the reason I went with that name is actually because my favourite band, which is Canadian, has a song of that name. Coincidence. And we'll get back to Canada in a bit actually, at the end of the episode. Wink wink. Anyway, congratulations Natalie. Please do get back to me with your address so I can send you the prize, because the prize is right behind me here. Can I reach it? Can I reach it? I reached it. This is one of the best prizes I've ever handed out on this podcast, to be honest. It is a kind of skein and mini skein bundle by Saskia of Ovis Etc. Yarns. And honestly, it almost saddens me a bit that I have to part with this, even though I have one just like it. It's just so awesome. I love all these colours. Every shade of red here is fantastic, and the thing that I love about Saskia's yarn is that she uses rustic yarns and hand dyes it, and it's rustic sock yarn. So this yarn is a fingering weight with nylon, which I am crazy obsessed over. There aren't really that many doing nylon rustic yarns. So just like, let's just admire this thing before I have to part with this. I don't know what I'm gonna make with my skein set. I'm thinking about designing some socks specifically for this. Anyway, this is the winner. Natalie Sheldon, please do get back to me. If not, I'm gonna hunt you down because you really should get your hands on this. So yeah, all this etc., which actually should be a great yarn to work up the socks in if you were ever wondering about what would be a suitable yarn, because as we all know, rustic yarn is the optimal yarn for colour work. I mean, you can get away with other yarns, which is what I did, but using this yarn would definitely be awesome, and I can totally see how this would work out actually. Anyway, I'm sure Natalie's had enough of knitting the Color Your World socks, because she did it at least twice, which is why I think she is a very deserving winner, although it was random, promise. She did make 2 pairs and they're both really awesome. I'm gonna put in pictures here because honestly they're awesome. So congratulations Natalie. Other things that I have to share before we get into the knitting stuff is a couple of giveaways. That's right, I am doing giveaways this time, you guys. First thing is a shawl pattern by my friend Jennifer of the Colour and Life podcast. Now she's made this shawl, and I'm gonna get the name right, hang on. Black Tie Affair. And what's interesting about this shawl is basically kind of a rectangle. It's more like a wrap, but the thing is it's got lace and cabling and it looks really nice, and so she is giving away a copy to one of you guys. And so the prompt for this, you will have to go to the thread that I've opened for this particular giveaway on my Ravelry group, and the prompt for that in that group, so what you need to answer essentially is there a shawl with colour work that you think I should know of? I know, it's a bit of an odd prompt, but this is something I've been thinking about lately, and I was particularly thinking about it when I was introduced to Jen's shawl, because I was like, oh wow, you can put lace and cabling. Yes, of course you can. And that's also, I wonder if you can do colour work. And I realised I haven't actually seen that many shawls with colour work. The most obvious reason being that you a lot of people don't like doing colour work back and forth. You know, purling colour work isn't the most fun thing. So I'm thinking particularly stranded colour work, but obviously other kinds of colour work would do. But yeah, is there a shawl with stranded colour work that you think I should know of, or one that you think is just awesome or impressive, pretty, what have you? Post a picture. Now, I haven't been clear about this before, and when I ask about these things, I want to see photos, not a link, a photo, okay? And that is how you can enter to win Jennifer's awesome shawl. It's so pretty. You just, yeah. So I'll be links to that below. And the other thing I have to give away is a pattern that has excited me for nearly half a year now, and you're looking at it. Finally, the winter shawl pattern is out. And the reason I have this shawl is because I was fortunate enough to be asked to test knit it for Judit, and she's now publishing this pattern. And I swear to you, this is the shawl that I wear the most. Now, I've got a ton of super pretty shawls that I've made. I've done so many shawls this year. This is the one I'm gravitating towards. It is so wearable. This shape, just the length here and the kind of roundedness of it that isn't too round. You know, you can see it has these kind of points. It's just so easy to just throw on. Like, okay, apparently I did it a bit clumsy now because I'm looking at myself mirrored, but you get the idea. Or not mirrored, I should say. Anyway, love this shawl. It's just garter, some kind of resemblance of garter and moss stitch, and yeah, my favorite shawl construction by far. I think I might engineer a couple of future patterns that I'm going to knit off others into this kind of construction method, because it's just so incredibly wearable. And it was knit with Brooklyn Tweed Loft, and I'm not usually a yarn snob in terms of pricing of yarn, and so I was a bit resistant to Loft. I'm like, I feel like it's very overpriced and it can't possibly be that good. I mean, there's wool and spun lofty yarns everywhere. No, Brooklyn Tweed Loft is a special beast entirely. It is almost like you have to use it for this shawl to get this kind of hugging effect, this shawl that will just stand upright and stay on you no matter how windy, no matter how poorly you put it on. It would just kind of stay up and hug your neck. It won't be kind of limp and drapey. So would definitely recommend using Loft or equivalent yarns for that. But the thing is, there aren't really that many equivalents to Loft. Like, sure, you could use probably Finull garn or Pelsull garn, you know, Sølje by Hillesvåg, things like that, but it will be heavier. The thing about Loft is that it's so light. This thing doesn't weigh anything. So would definitely recommend using Loft for it if you want to knit it. I am almost inclined to knit another one, but I mean, I have one, I don't really need several. But it's literally that pleasant to knit and that wearable, and I only have good things to say about it. So that is why I am so happy to be able to give away 3 copies. 3. So there'll be a thread for that as well, and the prompt for that is, tell me which thing that you have knitted that you wear the most. And what I mean by that is a particular project. So not like, oh, I wear socks the most, you know. I want to see a particular project, and I want to see photos, not a link, a photo of the knitted item or pair of items that you wear the most. Yeah, you can see where I got inspired for that prompt, right? So lastly, I have a discount code. Anna of Yarnesty, she has a discount code for her Fergus socks. I'm gonna put the code down below because I don't know how to pronounce things. And that code is for her Fergus socks, like I said. It's a sock that apparently is named after someone in Outlander, which I have never read or watched. But Grace of Babel's Travelling Yarns is doing an Outlander knit along right now. So those socks will be eligible for that. And I think among all of Anna's socks, and I have knitted quite a few of them, this is probably my favourite pattern. I haven't knit them yet, I might do it, but yeah, I really think it looks lovely. So there's a code for that if you want a discount for a limited time. So that's that. Finally, I am able to talk about stuff that I have knitted since the last time I saw you guys. Now, I had to skip nearly a week because I was ill, so I have knitted quite a few things. Now one thing that I have finished, I actually had finished shortly after recording last time, and that is my Mrs. Sergel socks. Probably mispronounced that. I'm sure it's supposed to be said in Swedish, which you'd think I'd be able to pronounce, but well. So these are the socks, and I think they are so awesome. It's a bit regrettable that my blockers are so big that they make the cuff seem shorter than it really is. It really isn't that short. Maybe I should wet it again and pin it down and like give you the right impression of what they're like. But regardless, they are finished. They are knit in lang yarns as their superwash sock yarn, where you get a little nylon spool at the center of the skein that you can hold double with the yarn. So I've done that for the toes and the heels. So they are a lot thicker than the rest of the sock, which I think is really cool, and I wish all sock yarn would do this, to be honest. It makes me really trust in the durability of my socks even more. And so yeah, I feel so inspired by these socks. So I love them. I want to knit all the socks in this book, and yeah, but I started with my favorite pair, of course. Completely copy the colors used in the book, and I could just hold these up in front of you forever. But the really cool thing about this is, now that I have finished this pair, I am a little bit closer to, you know, maybe making it to the box of socks KAL by Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast. So these are the socks that I have so far. If I get these off the blockers, I can show you the pile more properly. So here we are. Now we have the color Your World socks, which I have mentioned enough on this podcast episode. We have the Mercury socks, which I'm sure you've heard about many times on many podcasts, that need the ends woven in. And we have, of course, Anna's socks, the Townwall socks, which is a knit along that I think is wrapping up now. It was a mystery knit along. And we have Anna's what were they called? Villemo socks that I helped test knit for her. And lastly, my Mrs. Sergel socks. So that is 5 pairs. I got 7 pairs to go. So it's a good thing I am working on a number of them already. One of them lives in my cheeky little Knitting Goddess bag. I bought this from the Knitting Goddess at the Great London Yarn Crawl Market. And I have already finished one sock of Anna of Tant Ultus Socks book, which is the best sock book in the world. I forgot to mention that at the back of the book she's got a website and some contact details. So if you want this book, this is probably the most helpful thing I could do to help you get it for yourself, because it's awesome and it's in English now. So here's the first sock. I used West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply yarn. It's an excellent sock yarn. I think this is great. It really makes me think of Regia and Opal, but it's so strong because it's got Blueface Leicester. I'm the kind of awful person that breaks my yarn with my hands. I don't get the scissor. I'm just too lazy, even if I had the scissor right next to me, and it really hurts to break this yarn. So these are gonna be some proper sturdy socks. So yeah, it's just the grey German short rose heel, which is part of the pattern, which is what's so awesome about these, because usually when you do colourwork socks you're being told to do the heel flap. Not here. And I like a short row heel. I prefer them, if I'm gonna be honest. And so yeah, don't really have much else to say. They just kind of knit themselves, as they do. So I'm already on to the sock, the second sock. I'm past the heel, which also knit itself. I was on the phone with a friend moaning about my life, and then all of a sudden I'd done a heel. Isn't that cool? So I just need to repeat the chart as many times as I did here, do the toes, and I'll have another pair, and I'll be 6 pairs in, halfway through. It sounds like a lot given how long it's taken me to get halfway through, so oops. So it's a good thing I worked on even more socks. There's another one living in this bag. I keep picking up weird bags everywhere I go nowadays. It's becoming a bit of an obsession. I'm working on some really chunky stockings. So these are probably DK weight or something. And so far they look like this. So I am really close to finishing the first one. The socks work up very quickly on this yarn. Hopefully it's not considered cheating, given that I'm making these knee high, just below the knee. And yeah, they look really wonky when I'm holding them up like this. Like the shape is just a bit weird, but they fit my legs super well. They just hug them all the way. Maybe I can show them to you. Hang on. There we go. This is how they wear. So I'm up here now with the knitting, and they wear all the way up to my knee, and they are really, really awesome. So there's that. One of the perks of sitting in my bed when I record, that I can actually show you these things. Some acrobatics, why not? So yeah, I just really like the rib, how it just makes it fit so much better. It means that you can allow a bit of extra stitches up here for the color work, although I am doing some decreases. And I have to say, I am not super thrilled with how the pattern is written. I think it's a great product that you're getting, but there's a lot of think for yourself stuff, because I'm not sure if everything works out if you follow it to the teeth. I'm not sure. So this rib was kind of the best thing I could do based on what I read, but I'm not sure if that's actually what it asked me to do. So, well, it's a sock nonetheless. It works, and I'm very happy with it. So the reason why I'm working on these is actually because the only way I can get this yarn was by buying this kit. And I thought, you know what, these are nice. I'm just gonna make them. And they're from Hillesvåg, which is at the back here. And this is the Fjord yarn. So that's Fjord, if that's how you say it. It's one of their sock yarns, and it's nice and thick and Norwegian and rustic. And I think I've explained clearly already how much I like rustic sock yarn. Before I get into the last pair of socks that I have been working on this week, I have been working on one other thing, and that is a new cast on that I have had in my queue for a long time, and for some reason I've suddenly just felt like now's the time to make it. And it is a neck warmer, or a cowl, or a snood, or whatever you call them. And this is the midwinter neck warmer, which is an amazing pattern you can find on Ravelry. It's just all this sort of snowflake goodness around here. It should knit up fairly quickly, but because I've not been particularly monogamous since casting this on, I've only gotten this far. So it's very, very hugging. It's almost good enough to be a hat, to be honest. Like, if I just wear it like this, it could be a hat. Maybe I'll just do that, but I don't think I will. I think I need to do some cowls. I've never really done that many. And in terms of the yarn, you can see it's coming up really nice, because I am, of course, using my usual rustic yarns, but because this is going to go around my neck, which is the most sensitive skin area of me and most people that I know, so I'm using lamb's wool. That I think is the best compromise if you're ever curious about rustic yarns but wonder if it might be too scratchy, or going in a place on your body where you might be more scratch sensitive. So this is Røros Lammullgarn, which is by Rauma, which it's not available in the Isola Teague's shop yet, which is usually where you can get Rauma yarns in the UK. But it should be there in time. She said those were the yarns that she was going to get in, but she's kind of adding one at a time, and this is not there just yet. But there are tons of lamb's wools that you can use. I mean, I always mention Whole Super Soft and Highland Wool by Garnutsalg and JC Rennie. I wonder if James is a Smith is also doing some lamb's wool. Another heritage yarn is really soft, so lots of lamb's wools out there. That shouldn't be a problem. Those things are in great supply because of all the fashion that is using lamb's wool. So that is that for the midwinter neck warmer. And for knitting it, I never really talk about the needles I use. This is true for both this and my blue rose stockings, the long blue stockings. I'm using Prim needles. I think Prim needles, the glossy coated ones, or enamel coated, they are the best for color work in my opinion. I think they are amazing. They're smooth but not too pointy, and that is really one of the best things for me personally when doing color work and using rustic yarns. So that's what I'm using here. Forgive me if I'm talking a bit too fast. I really haven't been talking to many humans lately. It's part of being ill and confined to your own room to keep your plague away from the rest of the world out of consideration. So, oh, poor me being sick. I'm having the man flu apparently. But it's alright. I'm getting better. It's all good. So, the last thing that I wanted to show you in terms of works in progress for this week is a design that I started working on probably in April, and I cast this on in May. It's a collaboration between me and Saskia's Ovis etc. So I came up with a design, I sent it to her, she dyed up the yarn, and I was gonna knit it. And then my life just went kind of back and forth and sideways, and I ended up kind of avoiding this whip because I wasn't quite sure how to proceed. But yesterday I picked it up and decided that it's just gonna be what's gonna be, and I'll see if what I'm planning will work out, and if not, I'll work around it in the pattern write-up, and that's what I'm doing. So some of you will remember these socks. This is what they looked like for the longest time. So should we both sides? It's kind of grey light blue with a dark greyed blue and details of red and yellow here and there. And now I've continued up the leg and I've done the short row heel. I've used the German short row heel for this particular sock, and the interesting thing I've done is carrying this color work repeat, the same that you see on the toes, all the way around the heel, in the middle of the heel. So you see here, it's coming all the way around here. It's really weird. I know it's not up to everybody's taste. I just thought that was really cool to try out, because you know with the short row heel it kind of becomes squished together here, so it's just kind of hiding in here, and you kind of see it's more stretched out when you're wearing it. Now obviously I understand that people don't always have as low arches as I have, so you might worry if that stranded color work, you know, those strands are going to pull and it will be too tight to go across your arches and heels. I have written up an alternative heel in the pattern. It's just as good as this one, and the only difference is that this kind of in the round color work here is just shifted until after the heel, so it would just be above here instead. It'll still come around here to the front, so it will look the same here. It will literally just happen above the heel rather than as part of the heel. And it's, yeah, that was actually a lot easier to write up than I thought, so I'm very confident that that's gonna work out. Just thought I'd show you that. It's just a funny little idea that worked out. So now I'm just working up the leg, and there will be some more different color work things happening, and then I will try find some test knitters. I'll let you know when, don't volunteer now, and then hopefully we'll have a sock pattern out at some point in time. It's been a long time coming, and I'm always apologizing to Saskia for having been so late with these socks, but well, the longer I wait, the more people will see them, because my kind of following after the Cyber Mittens and everything has been incredible. Thank you guys so much again. So I think I'm just doing Saskia a favour by being slow, right? Anyway, I'm using her rustic sock yarn. She's actually got two rustic sock yarns. The one is Kempish Heidenshaw, I think. It's Dutch, it's a Dutch breed. It's a lot softer than this one, which is the Texelar sock, also a Dutch breed. So presumably when this pattern is out and you really do want to use this yarn, you can actually use her more softer base, the Kempish something, instead of the Texelar if you want. I really like this yarn as well, and it's going on my feet, so I don't really care if it's a bit prickly. I don't think it is that bad, to be honest. I think, oh, I love it. Gotta be honest. I think the more people that do this kind of yarn, you know, rustic nylon yarn, the better. So very pleased with these. I'm very pleased of myself to have picked up this project. Now, having said that, I woke up this morning with this thing kind of staring at me with a sock hanging out of it. Yes, I fall asleep with my knitting right next to my head apparently, and the best project bag in the world is just kind of going. So that happened. Now, I have been working on a lot more than what I'm showing you right now, but I am keeping it a secret. A lot of the things are just patterns that I have written up, but some of the things I have tried knitting as well. And I have knitted a pair of Christmas mittens. Now in total I have planned out 3 pairs of Christmas mittens, and I thought I'd just make a bundle. Let's just have 3 Christmas mittens for Christmas. And one of the mittens is very generic. It doesn't have to be a Christmas mitten unless you choose Christmas colors. It's kind of geometric, repeatable, very simple. Should be fairly beginner friendly if you want to have a go at fingering weight colorwork mittens. And the other pair is very cheesy Christmas mitten. It's got like a deer on it and Norwegian stars, and it's very that way. It's very cute. I get a kind of American sense from it in a way. I don't know what that means exactly. It's just kind of, yeah, it gives me that feeling. Now the last pair, the 3rd pair, gives me a very Norwegian feeling, and that's probably the design that I'm most happy with. I think the palm chart is nice. I think the motif at the back of the hand is so cozy, like it's just warm and cold at the same time. It really is nostalgic to me. It's almost kind of melancholic, but not in a dark way. But it is dark. It's bright in colors, but it's dark in the sense that the feeling that it gets me is Christmas. Is that I call it Christmas night. That's what I've called them. And I'd love to show you them, but I am thinking, wouldn't it be nice if they were a mystery knit along? And I really want to ask your opinion before this is something I decide on. I could just publish the pattern in time for Christmas and you knit it if you like. But it would be really cool to have it as a mystery knit, because I can easily see how I could divide this up into 5 parts, give you 5 cues, maybe from say mid-November to mid-December, something like that. I think that would be awesome. But I would be interested to hear what you have to think in terms of having another mitten knit along going on, because I'm already doing one major one, although granted these mittens knit up very quickly. So I mean the club mittens, they knit up very quickly. This Christmas mitten of mine is more comparable to the pumpkin spice mittens in terms of how quick they knit up. So I'd be interested to hear if you think it might be a bit too much. You feel like maybe there isn't time for people to take part in both. But if you do think it's a great idea, I would also like to know that. You think it will be fun to do a mystery knit along? I mean, I did take part in the Votteloge. It's a kind of mitten team in Norway that had a mystery Christmas mitten knit last year. They did it as an advent calendar and it was awesome and so much fun to do, and I am in no way going to try to compete with that in any way, which is why I think it would be nice to have it overlap with November and make it a 5 pattern rather than make it kind of so that nobody will confuse it with the advent cal if they're doing it again this year. I don't really know if they are, but I hope so. I mean, if they are, I mean, if Tori Seierstad, for instance, is doing another pair, I'll almost definitely take part. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to ask you. If you think doing a 5-part over the course of a month, maybe half a month, if you think that's good enough, mitten mystery knit along, then I'd be happy to split up my pattern and give my test knitters a kind of 5-part pattern to try out. I do want to talk about the yarn I used, even though I can't show you the project. So the first thing I did was using my Yarndale yarn. So Yarndale is a Shetland yarn, so I'm going to show you this one. So it's one of those big Shetland brands, you know, you got Jameson Smith and Jameson and JC Rennie, and then you got these. So I did these colours together, and that's my low contrast version of these mittens. And I want to say, like, even though the low contrast mittens are lovely and these colours are super Christmassy, I had so much more luck with the high contrast version, and I used these. So the white has been put together with either one of the dark colours, and that looked really nice. So you can really do either. You can go for low contrast or high contrast as you see fit. Just want you to know that that's the thing. And I think I could include photos of both of these as I knit through them when I release the cues. If this is what I do, I might not. I might just publish it as a regular pattern in time for Christmas so you can knit them. Yeah, venting ideas for you guys. You guys are my idea venting board. So yeah. So I have a couple of acquisitions, as you will see behind me now, that I'm going to cover step by step. One thing I did after having bought one Knitting Goddess bag from Knitting Goddess at the Great London Yarn Crawl Market is ordering another one. And I'm going to show it to you now. But if you have children of the age where they're starting to figure out some things that aren't directly literal in terms of things you might not want them to know about just yet, maybe just kind of have them move aside. I'm not going to read it out, I'm just going to show you on the screen. So just like cover their little innocent eyes. It's just a pun. It's a little funny cheeky bag that just means that I like, you know, 4-ply yarn. So yeah, that's the bag I got from Joy of the Knitting Goddess. It's got little Knitting Goddess tag here, and I have already put something in this bag because I'm planning more projects. This is the chamomile shawl in here, I think I'm gonna knit. And you know, it is in fingering weight yarn, so... But I think this bag might be just knit nights only. I don't think I'll bring this to the office, you know. I might not bring this to conferences and stuff. Kids send the wrong idea. So that was a bit cheeky. Now I'm sure you're seeing lots of fancy funky colours behind me. Someone finally got their Fine Garn shade card. That was about time, wasn't it? Finally, I have all the colours of my favourite yarn. At least one of my favourite yarns. So now I made everything dark. But yeah, here we go. I actually have, you can see I have these little things on the back as I put this on my wall. This is how much I love this yarn. Plus it's really easy to decide the colours if you have it on your wall. And now that I can actually order this yarn instead of going to Norway every time I need it, it's a lot more useful, I gotta say. And the other thing I got with that was 2 skeins of Fine Garn, because I am planning out a design with these. Except when I knit them together, I realised it's too low in contrast. I need a slightly darker grey. I think maybe PT2 has a slightly darker grey, so I might go with that because this is not working out. So, but I know when I will be able to get that, which I will tell you in a bit. Now today I had a very pleasant surprise in my mailbox. I was astounded by how beautiful this is. So I had Kate of Loop and Bar contact me on Ravelry asking, you know, do you need any giveaway prizes? You're doing a lot of KALs, you need any prizes for that? And I'm like, yes, thank you. Because I keep starting knit-alongs and realize at some point that I don't have anything to give away, and if I'm gonna be able to keep my stash, this is the kind of contributions that are greatly appreciated. So I said yes. What do you have to give away? She's like, well, I'm making some knitting bags now and they seem to be quite popular, so I thought maybe you want to give away one. I'm gonna send one to you as well. And I'm like, yeah, sure, nice. And I got them in the mail the day after, this morning. These are gorgeous. So I'm gonna show you. They are so well made. So one is a zipper bag basically, and one is a drawstring bag, and I can't for the life of me decide which one to keep and which to give away. So this one first is very, very well made. I mean, it's super sturdy. It stands upright on its own with a flat bottom. Has amazing woodlands print on it. They both do. I love a good woodlands print. That's like my favorite. On all, if I could have one kind of print on all my knitting bags, it would be this kind of print. I love the feel of this fabric. It feels really good. It's just perfect. It's so well made. I don't know anything about sewing, but I can tell that this is just fabulously made. It's flawless. And this is her little kind of signature label. I hope that focused. Didn't, did it? Oh well. That I tried. Couldn't see, so forgive me if it didn't work. And she even puts these, this is so lovely, these little lavender sachets that matches the bag. And they smell amazing. All bags should have this, in my opinion. And comes with some bags of tea, a little kind of business card, and yeah. So I'm inclined to keep this just because I love the kind of sturdiness of it, the feel of it, the kind of excellent way it's been made and constructed. But then there's the drawstring bag, and the drawstring bag is amazing. I mean, I'm really not sitting here endorsing this like a maniac just because I got it for free. It's just amazing. It's gorgeous. I can't say enough good things about these bags because they're so cute and so lovely. So drawstring bag or zipper bag, I just don't know which one I like the most, to be honest, because you know me and drawstring bags, we're friends. And this one is like, I like it for the opposite reasons of the other one. The other one I like because it's really sturdy and nice and kind of, it looks like it's just going to keep that shape forever. This thing is a drawstring bag and it's a lot more thinner and scrunchable. But that's why I love it, because imagine how little space this thing is going to occupy. The thing that will take up space is the thing that's inside it, which is really what matters when you carry your knitting around. I can't decide. I really don't. But one of them is going to be a prize for a KAL. I don't know which one. Maybe the flea knit along. maybe the Marias. I want to give it away to some of the big knit-alongs, you know, the ones with the garments. So I might go for the Summer Mitten knit-along as well. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, if you make so many pairs, then maybe that is fair. I don't really know. So just thought I'd show you that. So that is Loop and Bar. So she's got an Etsy shop where there are, as I'm recording, lots of bags up there. I nearly ordered another one for myself so that I didn't have to make this hard decision. But because I couldn't find bags that looked exactly like them, although close, I didn't. I might have a look another time because they are really, really pretty. So Loop and Bar, you guys. She's based in Wales, so that should be okay no matter where you live, because shipping from the UK is pretty cheap. So do consider that. I am the worst enabler ever. I was never going to be one of those podcasts that's like, buy this thing because I love it. But seriously, these bags, this shawl, that's all I'm going to say. Another thing I've been given to give away is a pair of stitch markers from Lily of Nordic Stitches podcast. So she sent me one and a viewer one that I'm going to keep for some prize of sorts. And these are the stitch markers in question. So there's like a pumpkin head and the other one is a spider, but now they're overlapping. There we go. There's the spider and the pumpkin head, and there are just, I love how she did this with the like professional business card and this kind of silky bag, and just, I have a lot of things to learn from this. And also the packaging of these. I just, opening that parcel was such a treat, and same with these, like good packaging. I'm impressed by that, and I've really been able to pull that off. But yeah. And another parcel I received, just because she is kind and wanted to send me something, is Judit from the Surprisingly Even podcast. And she was like, I have this colour workbook, I think you will enjoy it more than I do. Do you want it? And as this one is the Nordic Knitting Traditions, and it's a great book full of accessory patterns, mostly mittens, hats, socks. I think that's mainly what it is actually. And it says on the front cover, Scandinavian, Icelandic and Faroe Isle accessories. I have one little thing I want to point out if this is a book you have been considering. It's called Nordic Knitting Traditions, and I think that is a little bit, I guess, misleading, because it's definitely inspired by Nordic knits. So Susan Anderson Freed, she is an American designer, and she's very much influenced by Faroe Isle knitting and Scandinavian knitting. But traditions implies that these are made traditionally, and they are really not, because what she does isn't going, you know, I made a distinction between Faroe Isle and other stranded knitting traditions such as that of Scandinavia and the Baltic regions, etc. And she does make that distinction on the front cover, but not in her patterns. So her patterns might have the Norwegian star and like look like a Norwegian mitten, but then it will have a corrugated rib, which is more typical of the Faroe Isle tradition. And so each and every product is actually a bit of a mishmash of the whole different traditions. And so calling this a traditions book is not entirely right, because it's actually putting them all together, which traditionally hasn't been done. So it's really awesome, and it's totally fine for someone to want to do that and say, you know, I'm going to make a Norwegian mitten with a Shetland cuff. But yeah, if you were looking for traditional patterns, then know that this is an American designer who's influenced by Nordic knitting. Aside from that, having said that, you know, really good patterns in here, lots of excellent charts. But yeah, it's really kind of a mix and match of their traditions. She alternates the contrast color a lot, but keeps the main color the same, which is kind of a weird mix between the Scandinavian style and the Shetland style, because in Shetland and Faroe Isle knitting they alternate both the contrast color and main color a lot, whereas in Norwegian knitting we don't alternate either. So she's kind of found the middle ground there. So that's what I'm gonna say about this book. And Judit also sent me a little bag of David's tea. And I don't know if you watched the latest episode of the Yarngasm podcast, where she got a mug with these kind of sheep on them. But like Kristen said, I think David's tea are onto us knitters. I think they know that knitters really like David's tea, because God knows they do. We hear David's tea be mentioned on knitting podcasts all the time. So yeah, and this thing is just full of tea sachets. It looks super nice. Thank you so much. And I think this thing might just be my future wallet, because look at that. Just a wallet with sheep. I have to have that. So thank you so much, Judit. And while I'm mentioning things that people have given me, I also had a lovely viewer of the podcast send me one of the patterns that I have in my Ravelry wishlist bundle. So I want to thank you so much for sending me that as well. That was so generous. I literally didn't know what to say, because it was a pattern I have had on that list for a long time. So thank you so much. I hope I'll get around to actually knit it, because that was the intention when I put it on the wish list, and it's been in my queue for ages as well. So thank you. Lastly, I had another lovely viewer who wanted to send me something just to cheer me up, and I couldn't say no to that, because that is such a lovely gesture. And I got some really cool stuff. One of those things, I should say two of those things, is like 2 skeins of rustic yarns that I have no idea what it is. Like, she did write a description, but aside from that, like, this is kind of a bit of a soft mystery thing. And it's funny because it comes in these kind of 5 strands together, both of them. So I don't know if I'm actually going to try to disentangle these into each separate strand, or knit them all 5 together. I don't really know. It's just really cool. I just never seen anything like this. It's weird because it's rustic, but it's also kind of smooth. Like, I would call it toothy, but it's very smooth. It's hard to describe. This must be a very kind of particular breed. So yeah, just giving you a kind of a close-up of these 2. And if you have any ideas of what I could make with it, I'd be happy to hear that. But yeah, putting that aside and showing a couple of other things that she gave me. So one of them was Haribo Sweet, a lovely postcard, and this really neat book. It looks almost handmade. Maybe it is, but it's like, if you get the idea, it's kind of lined paper and grit paper, and it's got all these kind of cardboard bits in it, pockets. And I'm just, yeah, it says designed within Denmark, which is interesting, and it would be a cool book to do some stranded knitting charts in. So thank you so much. It just really brightened up my day. You know, you're going through difficult times, at least for me. The mornings are the most difficult part. It's probably why I'm sleeping a bit better than last time, to be honest, because this is later in the day. So, but when I wake up in the morning, things are pretty dreary. You've had dreams and thoughts come into your mind before you put your defenses up, and then the postman comes and it delivers awesome things like this and that, and just kind of steers your thoughts in a positive direction from early on in the morning. And I can't even tell you kind of what effect that has. Even if these things, they don't really solve any problems or anything, it's just kind of a nice reminder that there are people in this world who wish me well, you know. So thank you so much. Yeah, I keep trying to find the words, but I think thank you will have to do. So now that my entire background is just full of stuff, I think that means I am done with covering all the stuff that I have knitted and received this past week and a half. And I can now talk about some special announcements, because I am going away a lot this autumn. I'm not going to just sit here and be sad and upset and grumpy and bitter. Although I am all those things, I have made some very nice plans for myself. Apologies if you can hear any noise outside. I think kids are coming back from school, so that's just how that's going to be. But yes, I have already mentioned that I am going to Yarndale on Saturday, tomorrow, if I can make it to my very early morning train. I am not that optimistic about that, because today I didn't get up until after 7, and that is when my train is departing. So oh dear. Anyway, I'm going to Yarndale just for a day. I'm gonna go up and down the same day. Probably won't be able to do Skipton that much, but there will be yarn, and someone needs to give me some self-restraint. Anyway, other exciting announcements that I have is that I am going to Norway very soon. The week after Yarndale, I am going to Bergen in Norway, and I'm shameful to say I have never been there before. So some of you may or may not know, Bergen and Trondheim are kind of rival cities in a way that kind of Manchester and Liverpool are rival cities. They kind of like each other, but they like poking fun of each other and making stereotypes of each other all the same. And I don't know if that's the reason why I haven't been, but I don't have any family there. I maybe land there on the plane when it stops by there whenever I'm going further south, such as London or southern Norway. So I've actually never been there, but this time I am going because there is the knitting festival, and that makes me so excited. And I'm so excited just to go to Bergen because I've, like I said, never been. It's, from what I've heard from my friends, it's lovely. They've been so thrilled when going there. It's a city I might consider living in the future when revisiting Norway. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to that. If you have any yarn shopping advice before the festival, that'd be really cool. But I'm definitely going to make sure to make it to the festival on Saturday, I believe is when I'm going. I don't have any plans. I'm not there as a podcaster, I'm just there as me, but I'll be happy to say hello to people all the same, as long as everybody can keep in mind that I'm in a shitty place emotionally. But I'm gonna try to be a decent, nice person, and yeah. And like I said, anyone who can give me a bit of self-restraint when I'm shopping, that would be appreciated. Just a voice saying, Ellie, do you really need that? I did buy check-in luggage on my way back, I have to say. So in addition to going to Bergen, I'm also going to Stavanger because I have family outside of Stavanger in Sola. So I'm gonna stay there for just a couple of days, having someone in my family look after me and spoiling me and giving me Norwegian food and such. It's funny actually, my aunt, she's Canadian, she's from Winnipeg, and she was like, do you like fårikål? And I'm like, yes. And if you don't know, fårikål is a traditional Norwegian dish. I think it's a national dish of Norway actually, which is just a stew of mutton on the bone with cabbage and whole pepper, and it just stands forever in this big kind of pot just to become really tender and tasty, and looks awful, but it's awesome. So that is something I will be treated to have. So I look forward to that, and hopefully I can do some yarn shopping in Stavanger as well, or Sola or Sandnes. You might recognize the word Sandnes. It is a place near Stavanger, but it's also the name of Sandnes garn. So yeah, any shopping, yarn shopping advice you have there, or anything else knitting related, that would be awesome. I haven't been there in a few years now, although I have gone to Stavanger and Sola many times growing up, given that I have so much family there. So that would be really nice. And then I'm gonna go back to London, back to my life. But in not too long after that, I am really hoping to, no promises yet, but I am hoping to go to Oslo Knitting Festival. I haven't ordered or booked anything for that yet, but I really think it's likely that I'm going, and I'll be going for the festival for sure, but I think you can expect to find me in the Verbit shop, Husfliden, which is just reopened, and of course Pickles. You know about Pickles designs, so you should know about Pickles yarns. They are amazing, and I've always wanted some, and I might get some if I go. Still trying to figure out, you know, housing and travel and that sort of thing. Hopefully it will all add up and I can go. And then I'll be going back to London again and trying to, you know, work on my PhD, do some marking and lecturing and whatnot. And in November, as I mentioned before actually, but it's more set in stone now than it was before, I'm going to an academic conference in Vancouver. So my research area has some very kind of leading conferences, like the #1 and the #2 conference of that research area is going to be in Vancouver this year. So I'm going for that. I'm presenting some posters. It's going to be daunting, but I'm going to do that. And I'm going to travel on my own all the way to Vancouver, just me. And I'm going to take into a hotel, just me, and see the big world in little Vancouver. And from what I've heard about Vancouver is that it's awesome. I've also heard that it's a good place to get some yarn. So yarn shopping advice, you know where to put them. hopefully if there are anyone who wants to meet up, that would be really cool if I had time. But I am really going there for the conference. I'm being funded by university to go to the conference, so there really isn't any time. But if I do get time, I will make sure to let you know. But in a sense, they are giving me money to travel there, to stay at a pretty nice hotel for the sake of presenting research from my university. So it would be a bit cheeky for me to run off to go to a yarn shop and meet knitters, but if time allows it, I will do that. Maybe there'll be time more in the evening, because quite frankly, as much as I love my research area, I'm not much of a networker, so I might bail on that bit. We'll see. So that's Vancouver, but what I'm hoping to do on my way back is pop by New York. To be specific, I'm planning to pop by Brooklyn. So you heard it here first. And that, I think, is going to be my longest stay. I'm thinking something like half a week or something like that. I'm still planning, I'm still figuring out accommodation and where to land and getting the plane tickets. I haven't done any of that yet. I am writing up my conference funding application as we speak. I'm waiting for my conference schedule to come through so I know which days I'll have to go out and leave and that kind of thing. But I think I might go to New York, and I know there's some good wool shopping, yarn shopping places in Brooklyn and New York. I know Pearl Soho, Woolen, Brooklyn General, probably some other places, so that is exciting, and not to mention the people there. So if you ever want to meet up, you guys, I think that is something we can do. I'm hoping to make it in there on a day that I can make it to the Woolen Knit night, but I don't know yet. It depends again on the conference schedule. But yes, that is all I have to announce. So there's Yarndale up in Skipton, and there's Bergen Knitting Festival, Stavanger, Soda, Sandnes, that area, Oslo, Vancouver and New York. And by Christmas I will hopefully go back to Trondheim and celebrate Christmas with my family this year. I'm gonna be so tired, and I don't know when I'm gonna have time to work on my actual PhD. Oh dear, and I have knitting patterns coming out, and I'm not sure when I'm gonna have time to like inhale, exhale, eat, sleep, that kind of stuff. It's gonna be intense, but I think I just need to get my mind onto those things. So traveling, exciting, happy to tell you. I spent too much time now podcasting and getting back to you guys. I'm just kind of enjoying the fact that today I'm able to talk for more than 5 minutes before I have to kind of cleanse my entire throat with Lemsip and whatnot. So I might go out now. I feel like I am not having a fever anymore. My body temperature is a bit so-and-so, but I think health-wise I am back on track. Again, I want to thank you from the very, very, very bottom of my little metaphorical heart. I have a real one too, but that one is mostly for pumping blood. I want to thank you so much for just your lovely comments after my last video. Like I said, I wish I could tell you I'm doing better. I might seem like I'm doing better, but it's just what it is, really. Sometimes like it's weird, like it feels like a bit of a betrayal to seem happier on the podcast than I really am, because I don't know, I have this thing about being really honest, but it does really make me feel better about, or not about anything, I just make me feel a bit better getting my mind off things, talking about yarn and knitting on the podcast with you guys, having so many kind words come to me in return, and being able to tell you guys that you guys are the best podcast viewers, audience one could ever hope for. I'm not just saying that, like that's literally what I've been feeling and thinking in the past weeks, and I feel very comfortable podcasting even when I'm not doing the very best, because you guys are awesome and it does kind of help in a strange way. So that's all I had to say for that. I hope I will see you around the globe, and hopefully I will get to podcast when I'm in Yarndale and the knitting festivals, and I hope you will have a good time until I see you next time. So bye.